Hey everyone. Hey Caddy. There we go. How are you? I hope you're good. I think today's going to be a quiet one as well today. I hope that you can hear me. If you can let me know. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the title and the thumbnail of this video because I know that it said it's going to include the Asia degree case, but I think I'm going to make that its own video. And I just wanted to give some updates on Lilly and Jack Sullivan, and then I want this to mostly be a little bit of an Idaho 4 video, so it's not going to be long at all. Hey, Kip Kitty. Thanks so much for being here, guys. I appreciate it. So there have been a few updates since the last time I went live with Lilly and Jack, and 2 of them are verified by the authorities, and then another 2 I haven't been able to verify, but they're kind of interesting, so I'll let you guys know about them. But there's unfortunately no real developments in that case. But I do want to show you guys this. One second. Okay, so I hope you can see that. I made a PDF just to show you guys. Oh, it always goes so big. There we go. Just to show you guys that there's been a little bit of a change to the timeline. And that's what the development is. I'll show you a short video afterwards. But if you guys remember from last time, on the 29th of April, the bus driver dropped the kids off after school, and then there was officially no school on the 30th of April, which was Wednesday. And then on the 1st of May, we were originally told that Lilly and Jack did not go to school because Lilly had a cough. But what's come out recently in this video that CJ sent to me right after the last live I did was that those kids had actually been spotted in public with family members since this whole investigation began. So that's kind of a new development, which I thought, well, which everyone thinks is kind of interesting, especially since Lilly was supposed to have a cough. Yeah, I don't know. You guys will have to let me know what you think about that. But so this is the update here. And I just wanted to get through like the update before we get to Idaho 4. And you guys remember the gist of the case. So yeah, let me quickly go through it just as a recap. On the 2nd of May, the children were reported missing, and there's a little bit of not so much clarity about the time of that report. They were reported missing either at 9:40 a.m. or around 10 a.m. Their mother, Malaya Brooks Murray, said that she woke up and heard the children playing in another room. And, we went through all of that last time. The stepfather said that Lilly was in and out of the room. And, when he noticed that they were missing, he went and searched for them. And then later in the day, they broke up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to post the link of this video just so that we can go through it quickly. And then I really want to get onto Idaho 4 with you guys. And like I said, I don't think it's going to be a super busy live. I know people are also busy. but that is fine because there's always replay. Okay, so this is the link of the video that I'm going to put on now. And I hope everyone's well. I know it's kind of, it's not that early for you guys, is it? It's not too bad, right? And of course, you guys can let me know if at any point you can't hear something.
What began as a frantic search for 6-year-old Lilly and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan has settled into a silence that grips Lansdowne Station.
It just blows my mind that there's absolutely nothing.
RCMP are now offering new information to the public of the siblings' movements before they went missing.
Based on details gathered so far, we have confirmed that Lilly and Jack were observed in public with family members on the afternoon of May 1st.
So that's the major development, right? This is the day where they basically called in sick to school. So they were seen with family members out in public. I think that's quite suspicious. I mean, I know that sometimes when kids call in late to school, they're not actually sick, but I think that is weird in context if you think about the fact that it's shortly before they went missing, right? What do you guys think?
Investigators are appealing for more video.
Investigators are now asking anyone who has dash cam footage or video along Garlick Road between noon on April 28th and noon on May 2nd to contact Northeast Nova RCMP Major Crime Unit.
They should have brought camera footage to the RCMP almost immediately if they lived in such a close range. I don't know why people would wait 3 weeks later or...
During the initial search for the children, 160 people scoured 5.5 square kilometer of forest with drones, dogs, and aircraft, but that's since quieted down.
I know they're working hard and they have all the technology in the world to use. We all want answers.
Investigators have now reviewed hours of trail video and followed up on more than 355 tips. Over 50 have been interviewed, and RCMP says it plans to speak to others. While official searches have scaled back, the children...
So when we were last live about this case, they said they'd spoken to 30 people, and now it's 50. So you can tell that the investigation has really grown.
Children's stepfather keeps going, retracing ground already searched.
I want them home. Trying to make my way through every day when the only support I have is my family. Malaya's not here. My kids are not here.
Todd, the stepfather tells me that despite major crimes being involved, he's been told that this investigation is being treated as a missing persons case. He also insists that he's been cooperating with the police, including providing a polygraph test, which he did, and he says he passed. Todd?
And the RCMP has said that they have spoken with some 50 individuals. Thank you, Hafsa Arif, tonight.
So I don't know about you guys, but my heart does go out to him. I mean, and I'm also like, you guys can tell me what you think. He says he passed the polygraph. That's not something that the authorities are putting out. It's something that he's saying. So I guess you can say that, you know, we can't actually be sure about that, but I do get the impression that he really is hurting. I also think he feels very abandoned by Malaya because she's left. But I looked through her Facebook page and I don't know, I'm kind of also changing my mind a little bit when it comes to her because her Facebook page really does seem very devoted to the kids. And it has been like, it's not a new thing where she suddenly put up pictures of them. They do look like they had quite a happy home, even though she's deleted all the pictures that included Daniel, which might be a little bit petty, especially at this time, but I don't know, definitely leaning towards some kind of abduction. And I do agree with you, Kip Kitty. I really do. At least he's searching, and he's really searching. And I get the impression from this that he feels abandoned by her, because he brings it up. You know, she's not here. He's the last. He said before, he's the last one fighting. So I don't know. I don't know what to say about it, but we'll have to wait for updates. The one thing that I heard that I haven't been able to verify, but it's on social media, is that the mom has lawyered up. I don't know what we think of that, but I mean, honestly, I guess it's her right to do so. I don't know. Some people find it strange. I don't know what you guys think, but if it's true, we would have to also get that confirmed. But like I said, there's not much more in that case other than that they're asking for people who have dash cam footage who've been in the area from the 28th onward, after 12 p.m. to kind of volunteer that dash cam footage, which is weird because it's the day before they were actually seen, right? They were last seen on the 29th. So because the police seem to be quite tight-lipped and they're not as open as the USA, I think maybe they do suspect something. And I think that it is escalating into another type of investigation, and they're just not saying so. That's just my opinion, to be honest with you guys. But let me know what you think. Yeah, so it's her biological kids, and he's the stepdad. Another thing I heard is that he does have older kids, and he sees those kids, and he has a good, like, co-parenting relationship with his ex, who's the mother of those kids. So I think that's a good sign too, to be honest with you. But what I did want to show you guys, I wanted to move on to Idaho 4, because I found this old interview. Now, I know that it came up recently in this document, the defense's motion to continue. They started talking about Dateline. And then after that, they started talking about James Patterson and James Patterson's book. And it was Caddy who let us know that, like, the book's been common knowledge for like 2 years, and I didn't know. I really somehow managed to miss that. So thank you, Caddy. But I'm just going to read a little bit of the motion that Ann Taylor put out, because like I said, I did want this to mostly be an Idaho 4 show. I'm reading one paragraph, and then I'm going to show you guys a video that I thought was very interesting. Okay, so you guys have seen this before, right? This is Ann Taylor's motion to continue. This is the document that's like 40 pages where she's saying that she needs more time, and she mentions a few things. But the one paragraph, when I did my date leak summary videos, I stopped at this point. I didn't really get into Patterson at all. But she says here, the Dateline special, which aired just weeks before the trial date, will not even be the last pre-trial media bombshell, in quotes. Best-selling crime author James Patterson has written a book about the murders titled The Idaho 4, An American Tragedy, scheduled for release on July 14, 2025, just 16 days before jury selection is supposed to begin. And then they give a reference for that. And then they say that the blurb of this book describes Mr. Kohberger as a brilliant grad student, loner, apparent incel, and explicitly tells the reader, now you are the jury, the evidence is in. The publisher boasts of unmatched access to the investigation, including interviews with local law enforcement. This suggests the apparent Dateline leak was not the only violation of this court's non-dissemination order. Now, that on its own is just, I don't even know if disappointing is the word, but shocking I guess. Yeah. Hey, Scott, how are you? It's good to see you. Thank you for being here. Okay, so when it comes to this book that everyone knew about except me, I just got a screenshot of the actual description on Google Books. You guys will see where I'm going with this. Okay, so I also find it like not funny, but it's kind of interesting that James Patterson leads as the author of this book, and everybody forgets that Vicky Ward is supposed to be there too, and I think she used to be with CNN, she used to be with Vanity Fair, and there's an overlap there because Howard Blum is also an associate editor with Vanity Fair, so that's kind of interesting. So they give a little bit about his experience and everything that he's kind of done, but I wanted to just show you guys this. And it says here, the unaliving of 4 innocent college students attending the University of Idaho left us all with so many questions. That's important, that line, with so many questions, because that is something. You can't hear me? Can anyone else not hear me? Please let me know if you can hear me. Oh, okay. Okay, goodness. Thanks. Sorry, Kitty. What was I saying? Okay, so here, this part with so many questions, that's something that's actually kind of important, and it's a little bit more important than we realize, because when it comes to how James Patterson seems to work as an author, he seems to want to structure his work around suspense and questions. And I know that that is kind of a common thing, like a story needs suspense and it needs questions that, the people who are reading it want answered. But that kind of shows to me the extent to which he's mistaking this as something that's actually fiction when it's not. So I managed to find an old interview with James Patterson from about a year ago. And it's not long. It's super quick, actually, but it's kind of very revealing when it comes to this book, I think. And I mean, a lot of creators covered it at the time. So it's not like groundbreaking or anything, but like I said, I'm late. I didn't really know about this. One moment. Sorry, this is really a little bit slow. You're welcome for the modding for you guys. Okay. No, not. I'm still learning. You guys know this. That's going to be my excuse for a few days. Also, we're going to watch this twice. Once with a little bit less commentary, and then once where I have quite a bit.
One of America's best-selling authors is digging into the Idaho quadruple murder case. It's a case News Nation, particularly our Bryan Kohberger, has led the way on reporting since the beginning.
We requested information from prosecutor Bill Thompson's office about his history with death penalty cases, but we were told that request was denied because of the Bryan Kohberger gag order.
Okay, that's irrelevant, but also what does that have to do with the gag order? Like, it's about Bill Thompson, right? Not the case. I felt more like he just didn't want to answer. He was just like, don't Don't go there.
We have confirmed that Bryan Kohberger's parents were called to testify in front of this investigative grand jury.
Another thing, that's the Dana Smithers case, if anybody doesn't know.
All right, James Patterson will detail the killings of 4 University of Idaho students found murdered in their off-campus housing. The book will come out before the trial of suspected killer Bryan Kohberger, and James Patterson joins us now, America's best-selling author in history.
Yeah, I don't know that the book is going to come out before the trial, but we're working on it right now. Vicky Ward and I, who's a very, very good journalist.
What about this case? Why this Idaho case is so fascinating?
I think the secret to great mystery stories is questions that the viewer or the reader must have answered.
So that is literally in the book's description. And I know that it seems like I might be overreacting about it, but he's saying that this is about, questions that the viewer wants answered. But it shows you how seriously he's taking this as a story, not as legal proceedings that are still ongoing, because he's literally taking a formula that he uses to write novels and he's applying it to this kind of thing, which I thought was interesting. And it's like so entrenched that it's in the description of the Google Books. Like, this is about questions that the reader needs answered. They don't, okay, maybe they need it answered, but they don't need it answered as a priority in advance of the trial, surely, right?
And that's what this has. We think Bryan Kohberger is guilty. We'll see when the trial happens in late September. But there's...
So at the time of this interview, and you should be able to see, I put the date. Yeah, at the time of this interview, the trial was not set for the date that it currently is. So when the date of the trial moved, it almost seems like the date of the book coming out moved too. Interesting, no?
There's still big questions. Why did he murder these young people? What is the effect on the town, on the families? He seemed to want to create the perfect murder. He didn't. What went wrong? And what happened beforehand when he was in Pennsylvania? Were there things that happened? Did he commit any great crimes before he went out to Idaho? So there's a lot of questions, and that's what drove me to write the book.
You're famous, obviously, for detective novels, for the Alex Cross novels. And what I'm wondering is there something about writing truth that allows it to be stranger than fiction, that you can do things with truth that are because what? Fiction has to make sense. Truth doesn't.
That question did not make sense. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, well, hopefully the fiction makes some sense, that it tracks okay. I do have an Alex Cross book coming out right now. It just came out today, Cross Down. It's the first Cross book that's ever come out in the summer. And Sampson, his partner, is the big storyteller in this. And once again, getting back to what I said about the Idaho murders, questions that as readers and as viewers that we must get answered. The question here, the title is Cross Down, does Alex Cross survive? That's the big question throughout the book. And I think why a lot of people are going to go and order the book very quickly. And
So this is his tactic, when it comes to his Alex Cross books. And I just want to point out that Alex Cross, those novels are not true. They're not based on a true person. They're not based on true events. But his strategy is to build up that kind of suspense. And he's literally like talking about his marketing strategy here. He's saying, people are going to want to buy it because they really want to know, is Alex Cross even going to survive? And he's alluded to the fact that when it comes to the book that he's going to write with Vicky Ward, one of the main questions that he's trying to pump up is, why did he do it? So again, he's taking a framework for novels and fiction and applying it to an ongoing judicial proceeding, basically.
And read it very quickly. But that goes right back to Idaho in terms of those questions we must have answered.
Yeah, no, my mom is a huge fan of Alex Cross and obviously of your writing. So I think that she will be already has ordered it off of Amazon. Help me understand.
I like your mom, and I like you better because of your mom.
Well, thank you. Most people feel that way. Then you meet the dog and you like everybody. Help us understand real quick about Kohberger. the Idaho four murders, there was something about the murder of 4 college students, right? There's tragedies that happen, there's murders that happen all the time.
Yeah.
What about this, you think? And you've had a unique ability to understand what pulls at America.
You're looking at it.
Yeah.
You're looking at it. Here are these 4 victims, these terrific kids, the families, wonderful families that have been, decimated. A town. This is a little similarity to Truman Capote wrote a very famous book in Cold Blood, where a terrible 2 killers come to a small town, and it's a terrible thing that happens. Same thing happened, and this is Moscow, Idaho, where a wonderful college town, good kids, and all of a sudden this terrible thing happens, and the town isn't really ready for it. They haven't had things like this. They don't have murders out there like this.
Yeah.
The detectives have not dealt with stuff like this before. The prosecutor hasn't.
Yeah. One last question.
That kind of also tells you, I mean, when you come back to CJ's video, like about Tyson Barrett and stuff, you can actually hear like who he's spoken to. He's like, well, the police haven't really handled this before, and the prosecutor hasn't. And I mean, this is a year ago. So the leaks have been well in preparation. That's all he's showing there.
Only got a couple of seconds, but I wanted to get it in. You guys have done a lot of your own reporting on this. Is there anything you've uncovered so far that's not in the public record?
Yeah, but we're not telling it tonight. Tonight we're going to sell it.
That is not funny.
Tonight we're going to tell people to go read the new Alice Cross book because it's really fun.
All right. Well, you've left us in suspense, sir. It's good to see you. Thank you.
Okay. Let me check your comments quickly. Because there's no connection to the victims, they have to fantasize a motive. Yeah. They have to fill in the blanks. And I mean, these are famous authors, right? Howard Blum as well. They're good at this. This is what they do. It's just it's like it's the wrong framework. I wouldn't even have a problem with that if they were doing it after trial, or if they were doing it in a way that wasn't like, if they weren't making these kinds of assumptions. But what I want to do is I want to play it again, because I have a couple of extra points about the things that he mentions there. And yeah, I just want to go through it with you, because he mentions this book called In Cold Blood. And he's kind of saying it's similar to that. The thing with that is that book, yes, it is based on a true story that actually happened. But there's quite a lot of contention about how the author did that, and if things were actually correctly characterized in the book. I almost feel like that might not have been the best example for him to use for himself, but he's kind of bringing up as well that it has, and this is what upsets me again, he's talking about how this story has all of the right parts for like a mystery, it's a small town, they weren't ready for it, the victims are beautiful, it's stuff like that, and it feels like it's just the wrong context for that kind of thing to be saying, Let's watch it one more time. I have a few different comments to go through, and you guys can type all of your comments as well. Let's take it a little further after Bryan ended.
All right, James Patterson will detail the killings of 4 University of Idaho students found murdered in their off-campus housing. The book will come out before the trial of suspected killer Bryan Kohberger.
How funny is that in hindsight? It will come out before the trial. And he's saying this when there was a different trial date. And I know that James Patterson is going to be like, well, I'm not sure about that, but it's weird. It's weird to me.
And James Patterson joins us now, America's best-selling author in history.
Yeah, I don't know that the book is going to come out before the trial, but we're working on it right now. Vicki Ward and I, who's a very, very good journalist.
What about this case? Why this Idaho case is so fascinating?
I think the secret to great mystery stories is questions that the viewer or the reader must have answered. And that's what this has. I mean, we think Bryan Kohberger is guilty. We'll see when the trial happens in late September. But there's
He's making the trial sound like a formality. Like, well, we think he's guilty. Like, when it's official, yeah, we'll see, but we think he's guilty. So he's already just telling us what he thinks. Again, this is from long ago.
There's still big questions. Why did he murder these young people? What is the effect on the town, on the families? He seemed to want to create the perfect murder. He didn't. What went wrong? And what happened beforehand when he was?
Okay, so he wanted to create the perfect crime. How would you even know? I don't know. It's weird.
In Pennsylvania, were there things that happened? Did he create? Did he commit any great crimes before he went out to Idaho? So there's a lot of questions, and that's what drove me to write the book.
You're famous, obviously, for detective novels, for the Alex Cross novels. And what I'm wondering is there something about writing truth that allows it to be stranger than fiction, that you can do things with truth that are because fiction has to make sense, truth doesn't.
He's giggling there, but he's offended. He really is offended because, and I also think that on some level, he probably knows that there is an element of fiction in his upcoming book about Idaho 4. I mean, that's the one point where he gets a little bit uncomfortable, and then things kind of almost get a little bristly between them because he's going to be like, I like you better because your mom reads my books. I mean, I don't know. It was a joke, but.
Yeah, well, hopefully the fiction makes some sense, that it tracks okay. I do have an Alice Cross book coming out right now. It just came out today, Cross Down. It's the first Cross book that's ever come out in the summer. And Sampson, his partner, is the big storyteller in this. And once again, getting back to what I said about the Idaho murders, questions that as readers and as viewers that we must get answered. The question here, the title is Cross Down. Does Alice Cross survive? That's the big question throughout the book. And I think why a lot of people are going to go and order the book very quickly and read it very quickly. But that goes right back to Idaho in terms of those questions we must have answered.
Yeah, no,
I'm starting to think that that's his motive for the timing of the book, that even if the book was ready long ago, he needed it to be a couple of weeks or days before the trial because there's that level of suspense. It needed to coincide because he's showing that there's this thing about these building questions, and he's showing a little bit of his priority here where he's saying that a lot of people are going to go out and buy the Alex Cross book and they're going to read it very quickly because they really want to know. We can assume that he's going to be taking that same kind of logic and applying it to this book that he's writing. I mean, otherwise he wouldn't even be bringing it up.
My mom is a huge fan of Alex Cross and obviously of your writing. So I think that she will be already has ordered it off of Amazon. Help me understand.
I like your mom, and I like you better because of your mom.
Well, thank you. Most people feel that way. Then you meet the dog and you like everybody. Help us understand real quick about Kohberger. The Idaho 4 murders. There was something about the murder of 4 college students, right? There's tragedies that happen. There's murders that happen all the time.
Yeah.
What about this, you think? And you've had a unique ability to understand what pulls at America.
You're looking at it. Yeah. You're looking at it. Here are these 4 victims, these terrific kids, the families, wonderful families that have been, decimated. A town. This is a little similarity to Truman Capote wrote a very famous book in Cold Blood, where a terrible 2 killers come to a small
2 killers is the closest thing to the truth he's actually said so far, and he doesn't even know it.
Town. And it's a terrible thing that happened. Same thing happened, and this is Moscow, Idaho, where a wonderful college town, good kids, and all of a sudden this terrible thing happens, and the town isn't really ready for it. They haven't had things like this. They don't have murders out there like this.
Yeah.
The detectives have not dealt with stuff like this before. The prosecutor hasn't.
Yeah, one last question. I only got a couple of seconds, but I wanted to get it in.
So, in the beginning of this episode, Bryan Enton is saying, we tried to find out if Bill Thompson has experience with this kind of thing, but we couldn't figure that out because of the gag order. Here, at the end of the same video, James Patterson is like, well, the prosecutor hasn't really, or the prosecution, maybe he's speaking generally, they haven't really dealt with this kind of thing. So does the gag order apply to everyone or just some people?
And you guys have done a lot of your own reporting on this. Is there anything you've uncovered so far that's not in the public record?
Yeah, but we're not telling it tonight. Tonight we're going to sell it. Tonight we're going to tell people to go read the new Alex Cross book because it's really fun.
Okay, and he's just gonna try and promote his other book a bit. Okay, what do you guys think of that? Let me know. That's no problem. See you later, Caddy. Thank you so much for coming. So this way all about promoting his new book. Right, yeah, look, I mean, it's his job. He's gonna promote his new book. That's what he does, I suppose. But I mean, I don't know. It's just what really bothered me the most was the way they were laughing at the end there about, you know, they have learned things that they're not gonna, you know, they're not talking about it tonight. Tonight can be about the Alex Cross book, but he's also, it's once again coming back to this thing of like, you know, building suspense. And I don't know a lot about him. I've spoken to some people who've read his books. I haven't read his books. But what I am going to do is, this is his, James Patterson's YouTube channel. It's a small channel, but if you want to get to know him, I mean, I haven't looked at it closely. I think it is his, though. I hope his book isn't like HB's. You see, that's the thing. I'm concerned about that because of the way he's already gone ahead and described things. I mean, the back of the book, we know, is already talking about Bryan Kohberger as an apparent incel and a loner and all of this kind of stuff. So one does have to question, how different is it really going to be? Like, but, you know, anyway, what he spoke about was this other book, and he kind of compared it to what he's about to write, or what he was about to write at the time. And it's called In Cold Blood. And I tried to find some legitimate sources about whether that book was reliable. And a lot of those articles, you have to like sign in or be a member and I don't know, pay money or something. So I'm just going to straightforward Wikipedia it. Let me get the link for you guys. Let me get the right link for you guys. Not post the wrong thing. Okay. Yes, drive safe, Kathy. Okay, so that's Wikipedia, and then I think it highlights the question that I Googled, which was, is this book even, is it reliable? So this is the book that he is comparing his book to, that James Patterson is saying, my book is similar concept to this book. Now, I think what he means is that it's a true story. So he's saying, you know, well, there's that. But it does say here, other Kansas residents who Capote interviewed later claimed that they or their relatives were mischaracterized or misquoted. Dewey said that the rest of the book was factually accurate, but further evidence indicates that it's not as immaculately factual as Capote had always claimed it to be. And how can it be at such a late, like at such an early stage, I should say? I think that this is something that is going to be happening with the books that are coming out with people who basically who are connected to the League. And it's not even necessarily that the stuff isn't going to be factual, but what about if it's going to be fair? I think it was a mistake to mention this book in his interview with News Nation. I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have suggested that. But if you guys want to read, the Wikipedia article on the whole book, you can do that. So it seems like it's a novel. It's nonfiction. It's published in 1966. It's about the Clutter family unalivings in a small farming community. So that's probably what he was talking about when he was saying it was a small town that's not prepared. I mean, no town should ever have to be prepared, but I do understand what he means. It's quadruple, so maybe that's why he's bringing it up. You see, he traveled. Truman Capote traveled to this place to write the book. Also similar. It was an instant, critical, and commercial success. And I feel that just by the way James Patterson has been speaking about some of these things, I think that is a priority of his, unfortunately. And it just so happens that going along with that is participating in these kinds of leaks. So yeah, Kitty says, yeah, everything with leaks, books, etc. is just going to affect jurors, in my opinion. In your opinion, but in my opinion too, I agree with you. I think it's inappropriate, but it seems like there's quite a determination in this case to do that, and it has been since the beginning. And I mean, it's unfortunate, but we kind of have to just trust that they, I mean, did jury selection start today? Or questionnaires started today. I'm not very familiar with juries because of the country I live in, but I personally worry that it'll never really be possible to find a full jury that's unaffected by this. I don't know what you guys think, but the leaks have been just the most unfair, really. I don't even know what to say about it, because how do we know that this is going to be the last one, this book? Like, how do we know? How do we know there isn't going to be a leak again? I mean, at this point, after watching Dateline, I can say that if that's all they have regarding Bryan Kohberger, then it's not that bad. Like, most of it you can see has been twisted. But is that the case? I don't know. Are they waiting to give out more? That's the concern. Like, how can you tell? Anyway, that's all I wanted to share with you guys. I told you it was going to be a really quick live. And like I keep saying, I'm still learning. Do you guys have any questions or comments about, have you guys read James Patterson's books? Let me know. I was supposed to have background music today. Hold on. Let me know if you like that, or if you can even hear it. I feel like maybe nobody's read James Patterson. But they say he's a best-selling author. They say that he has, his own section at the bookstore. No, Kitty, no, you can't hear it, or no, you haven't read it. Thank you. No, you haven't read it. Yeah, but at the end of it, I agree with you here, Scott. This is really, I mean, a lot of what he was saying in that interview was him trying to to promote it. And also, look, in terms of, I don't know what his experience is in terms of writing books that are based on true stories. I can just tell you that I know the Alex Cross series isn't based on any kind of truth. And that's what concerns me, is that he's taking that formula and he's applying. I've heard of him, but haven't read his books. Yeah, same. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's all I have for you guys today. And I just wanted to say thank you so much for being here through my growing pains. And we'll get back. If nobody has any questions or anything, I'm not going to do any streams over the weekend, but on Monday, I'm going to come back. I think I'm going to try and cover the Aisha degree case. I don't know if you guys know, you probably don't know this, but it's Child Protection Week in South Africa. So it's a whole week that's dedicated to like the safety and the rights of kids. And I know that's a South African thing, but I'd still like to highlight some cases of missing kids throughout the week, just because I'm South African. Thanks, Kip Kitty. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope that you all have a really beautiful day further. And thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Have a great day. Bye.